Sunita and Asit. Did I say the name right? Asit, can you hear me? Okay, I think Sunita, but you acknowledge that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine. So it's going to be a closed conversation because there are not many participants. Maybe one or two might join in. So let me first ask you, why are you here and what are you looking forward for?
Yeah, actually, I have more than 11 years of experience in operations, and slightly I have started moving from 3 4 years into project management. And recently, I took up my PMP 35 PDUs learning, and as I was going on through other LinkedIn posts and YouTube channels and in Meetup everywhere, I was finding all the certifications in Agile, Safe. So it kept on motivating me to know more and more, and
Okay.
how I wanted the courage to face the interview, because I have already attended EY Amazon, but I couldn't get through it. So I
Okay.
just want to know how it goes on. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Understood. So if I have to summarize, you have taken the learning for project management and
Yes.
you are getting into the agile ocean and you are wanting more and more.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's your attempt to be here. Good. I think a couple of more have also joined in.
Yeah, they're
I think
joining.
only Sumit uh, has, or joining in rather, it's a present continuous. Asit, can you hear me? Okay. Sumit, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, good. So it's a closed group. It's not many people. So I'm just trying to hear out from you that what you're looking forward for, so that we can drive an agile agenda rather than waterfallish agenda. Yeah, Sumit. So why are you here, Sumit? And what are you
Yeah,
looking forward for?
uh, I am looking to gain knowledge on SAFe.
On safe, you said, right? Okay.
Yes, yes. Uh, because a lot of companies are expecting their projects to drive on a SAFe framework. Okay,
Mhm.
like more and projects are becoming more and more complex, and they
Mm.
like to have to introduce a framework which can handle this complex projects, or rather the complexity of the workflow which the project has. So applications are becoming wider, data is becoming huge, so projects are becoming larger. So in order to handle those kinds of projects, I guess they are looking for a framework which can give good output when the project is over, or parallel when the project is going on, and at
Mm.
the fastest pace. So I think SAFe could be one of the framework. So I'm looking to have more knowledge on SAFe framework.
Okay. Thank you, Sumit, for putting it across crisply. Okay, so let me hear out from Career Launcher or maybe Career Launch, if you can hear me. Okay, we have one more person, Manisha.
I think now I
Yeah.
can hear. Yeah, I just once relog in and from my
Okay,
other devices.
sure, sure.
Yeah,
So your name is Asit, right?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
Asit.
it is visible, right? My name.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, the image
Okay.
is of Career Launch, but
Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
name is
That,
visible.
that's what
Yes,
I
you're
think.
right.
Okay, okay. Yeah, actually, I'm trying to involve myself for sorry, discussion on say the scaled agile way of work, and to involve myself. So that's why I joined this call.
Okay, and what do you want to know by the end of this session?
At least I have a clear understanding about say related means interview questions and those things, which is we set our agenda, right? So that need to be have a fair idea, and I can
Okay.
also yeah means
Okay,
discuss.
got it. Got it. Thank you, Asit, for saying that. Yeah, so let me just ask last but not least, Manisha, if you can hear us. Okay, so people are growing in. Krishna is also joining in. So let's get started. I think um, let me just first of all say why SAFE and what it is uh, and what is a problem it solves. See, every framework tends to solve a particular problem that the industry has. Yeah, the basis, the Bible is all agile values and manifesto, the principles which has been there for 2 decades now, and we know the history about that. So that's the starting point when these people came together and they came to agree that these are 12 principles, these are 4 manifesto statements, and this is how we should drive our projects. Of course, there are assumptions because the research was done on 6 product companies to lay down that paper and so on. But that's the starting point of Agile. And then we had Scrum, we had Kanban, other frameworks on scaling, Less, DAD, Nexus, and so on. And SAFe is one of the scaling framework, and it's one of the popular scaling framework. Um, Popular in the sense that it has more than possibly 40% of the market share as far as scaling is concerned, and there is a reason for that. They have done good work. In fact, some people say that SAFe is more agile than agile because SAFe is evolving every now and then. It's a version 5.1 which is going on, and Agile Manifesto and principles are fixed from past 2 decades. So that's just one school of thought. Now, why SAFe? Why it is popular? What is the problem it solves? So basically, the situation is that when we are building a large solution, which involves, let's say, more than 50 people, right? And these people have been working in Scrum mode, so there are different teams. And now we have more than 5 teams. Every team has more or less 5 to 10 people. And now the context is that they are supposed to coordinate among themselves. They have dependencies among themselves. And if that is the case, and in order to build large solution, do we have a framework? Yeah. And this is where SAFe pitches in. Yes. They say, yes, we are here. And whatever problems you may have in order to build large solution, because you have larger teams, you may have communication gaps, you might be having silos, you might not be integrating often, and you may have a lot of problems. And we are coming up as SAFe, and we will give you a framework which will solve your problems if the problem is building large solution with 50 or more people. Okay, that is SAFe. Um, so let me just pause for a moment and check your understanding what you have got out from here. And if you have any questions, so that I can maneuver my way to first of all address your question and then launch the PPT.
Yeah, Jatindra, I have one question.
Yeah.
So, when you say large solution or a large, you can say a large solution, so does it mean that we'll be working for a common goal or a common objective,
Yeah,
and then, yeah,
correct. Yes. The answer is yes. The short answer is yes. And the long answer is that let's take an example of building a particular product, let's say uh, aeroplane, let's say Airbus, or maybe a product like a ECU in a car. That's also a product which has a software component, sensors, hardware component. They are supposed to um, be merged together. Or let's take a IoT device, which is one of the popular thing nowadays in the market, Internet of Things. And for any IoT device to work, you have to have a software, you have to have a service, you have to have sensors. So you can see there are three streams: a software stream, sensor stream, and service streams. And all these three streams are supposed to work together. So now I'm just inviting you to visualize a big software team, let's say 50 plus people, a big sensor team, let's say 50 plus people, a big services team, let's say 50 plus people, or maybe 100 plus people. And now how are they going to work together in agile way? SAFe gives you the answer. Yeah. So that's a very simple abstract statement, but as you get more and more understanding, because there are a lot of things in SAFe, and if you see the picture uh, without understanding and knowing SAFe, you will really get overwhelmed with the complexity it has, right? So that's why we have a 2-day training to understand SAFe framework. Yeah. Any other questions before we move forward?
Yes, Jatinder, I have a question. So, you explained that once a team number of team members are means more than 50 or more, so then we think about safe framework. But means I have a question. So here, the underneath the team, so they have any means they will still follow the means practice whatever agile practice means like scrum or kanban or whatever means popular framework agile framework are available, they will follow the same, or save have any its own dedicated framework which will be applicable in the team level.
Mhm. Okay. A good, very good question, Asit. Actually, SAFe, in a very blunt way, I can say SAFe does not have something of its own. Uh, SAFe has taken good practices from different best practices working in the industry. So, for example, Scrum, Kanban, DevOps, Lean, design thinking, um, and so on. So all of these things are kind of fitted now very well in the SAFe framework. So what SAFe has done a very good packaging. Okay, SAFe will not allow you to get confused based on the situation you are in. So in a nutshell, the answer to your question is yes. In at the team level, the teams will be working in either Scrum or Kanban mode, and there are layers on top. You can simplistically understand it as a program layer. I'll not use those terminologies because you may get confused. Just like a program management layer we have in our industry, same program management layer to manage the complexity of bigger teams at the team level. Does that answer your question, Asit?
Yes, get some clarity. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
So, Jatin, on this, this is Anil here. So
हाँ जी
basically,
अनिल बताइए.
my question is, I have, yeah. So as my question is that we have used Agile and Scrum. I am working as a Scrum Master only. So in that we have to to get the communication gap. We have in the meeting like Scrum of Scrum meeting, where we discuss the as we have a 5 modules, and each team are working in different I mean to say different group, and we are combining a one product only as a e-passport basically, which we I am
Mhm.
working. So as you have told, we have a hardware also in that, because every application has its own purpose, like biometrics, then the verification, then pursuing the where we personalize this thing, and then we print that particular passport. So as for that one, we don't require anything, and for that user story what you are telling, So we have used DevOps only, where we put our user stories, basically epics and user stories. And in that, what we do, we map to that user story if it's any dependency on under model. For example, if I'm doing a biometrics and it having a dependency for personalization, so we just mark that user story is dependent on that particular user story. So it has having a communication, and in Scrum call we have discussed also if anyone has this any issue or having this related things to them also or not
Mm,
as a product owner.
mm, mm,
So that also resolved our issue, but obviously not the 100%, but it has resolved these issues.
mm,
Mostly you can say 60 to 50%, but not 100%. We have
mm,
faced many things and many issues, as there
mm,
will be a man error or something like that,
mm,
which they
mm.
have not updated that it will correlated to that particular user story.
Right. Right. Yeah, good enough, Anil. Yes. So basically, as long as it is working fine and there is not much of an issue, it's perfectly fine. So basically, some of the problems that the industry or the organization or the leadership has, or maybe the customer has, that there is not much of a leadership buy-in for kind of a project that Anil is talking about, or the team does not have a breathing space. They actually move from one sprint to another without having some time to breathe, without having some time to innovate, without having some time to improve their competency, and they realize that improvement of velocity is a gimmick rather than actuals. Uh, and then the teams, it feels, are not improving in their approach. That could be a problem, or the technical debt inside the team is growing, and there is nobody to actually guide because teams have their own KPIs and different teams are working towards that. And maybe Scrum of Scrum kind of resolves some of the issues to align different teams' directions, but to some extent. So for all of these problems, SAFe has a good structure. Here in SAFe, the leaders do not only support the whole program, they actually drive the program. They have a role to play. It is not a delegation anymore. Leaders are supposed to play a particular role in SAFe. Number two, all the teams uh, come together for, let's say, a duration of 2 days for doing a big planning at the program level, just like we have sprint planning at the team level. Now, this 2 day planning is something called in SAFe terminology as PI planning, which is program increment planning. That means all the teams are aligning themselves for 2 days. And once those 2 days are over, every team is going to take their piece that they are going to implement for next time box. And this time box could be a 8 weeks or 10 weeks. Now, we do have a provision of innovating, improving competencies, becoming more predictable space for these teams. So for 2 weeks, the teams actually are not supposed to develop. They are just there for planning for the next program increment, improving their competencies. They have a breathing space, improving the process, solving some problems. So that's a pretty good thing from SAFe, that there's a good amount of time given to the teams to improve themselves from various angles. um, there is a role at the program level called system architect, who will look forward for making the system robust, right? Reducing the technical debt, uh, pitching for the capacity in the backlog, whether it is product backlog or program backlog, for enablers, for those work that needs to be done to make the system robust. Not only those stories which are coming from the customer or the product owner or the product manager, also for those stories which are required for making our system robust. For example, DevOps. Improving competencies could also be an enabler story. Yeah. So all of this has been packaged together very well in SAFe, which is crucial for driving large solutions, especially. Yeah. Good. So I think that might give you a good overview of SAFe, and let me feel free to launch some slides so that by the time this presentation ends, you may have some idea about Q&A that you
Okay,
may
okay.
get during interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me share my screen and do some justice to the agenda. Right. And I think the answers are already there. I would have wished that answers comes with the animation, but anyways, no problem. So these are some questions that you may get, which is a very, very abstract question. And nowadays, I think the industry is more or less aligned with the term agility more rather than agile. Yeah. And agility is actually closer to the mindset. And when we say agile, what comes to our mind is basically agile methods: Scrum, Kanban, Safe, Less, DAD, and so on. So that's why the good, crisp answer to this question could be a mindset, a philosophy, more like a way of thinking, a movement focusing on communication. So everything actually they have put it together: team thinking, intrinsic motivation, empowerment, innovative walks, flow, and value creation, blah, blah, blah. So basically, there are three pillars for the empirical process. Do you know what are these three pillars? For an empirical process or for agile process, there are three pillars.
Transparency, inspection, and adaptation.
Perfect, perfect, very nice. Yeah, so all of these things actually, if you can make that happen with innovative walks, with flow, value creation, team thinking, that makes a basis for the foundation of these three pillars. And that's what is basically agile. Yeah, it's a philosophy, it's a mindset, and so on. Yeah. Okay, so moving on, what are some of the frameworks that you have for scaling? And these are the popular ones. And as I said, that Safe is having a pretty good market share in the industry for scaling. And there is a reason for that. The reason for that is people who are supposed to sponsor a framework can actually see their role inside that framework. That's number one. Number two is most of the time there's a complaint from the organization that people do not have an overview what they are doing. They might be doing the smaller story, but they don't know the complete alignment with the business. So with the help of a safe structure, you as a developer will be able to appreciate which particular story is coming from which business context, is coming from which feature. So you have a complete alignment from business, from strategy towards execution. Yeah, so there's a very good hand in hand collaboration between business and the development team. Yeah, otherwise in organization, business is separate and development is separate. Yeah, there's no alignment, and that's why there are silos, and that's why there are problems. Yeah. Okay. um Moving on, what is the scaled agile framework? So I've given you an overview, and this kind of gives you a crisp answer. It's an enterprise scaling framework which uses combination of lean and agile principles and combine them into a framework for large scale projects. They also have primary bodies of knowledge: agile, lean, and in newer versions, they have also included DevOps. DevOps was not there in 4.5 and previous versions. They have added in 4.6 and now 5 and now 5.1. Now design thinking is also there. So basically, whatever is working in the industry, Safe is trying to package them very well so that if you learn SAFe, you actually become a more holistic person with respect to Agile, right? So if you learn Scrum, you may not know what is design thinking and how to use it. If you learn Scrum, you may not know about DevOps. You may know depending upon the culture of your organization. If it is already being practiced, then you will know it. Otherwise, Scrum guide may not teach you that, right? If you know Scrum, you may not know Lean, how to use value stream mapping. And then all of these things you will be able to learn once you understand SAFe framework, an overview of SAFe framework, because then you can actually go a dip, go a little bit deeper based on what is working in your context, in your culture, right? So that's an opportunity I see in SAFe, uh, that you become more holistic as an agile person. Okay, how do agile and SAFe frameworks differ? What are the four core values of SAFe? So just like we have 5 values of Scrum, we have 4 values in SAFe. Let me just ask you, just to break the monotony, do you remember 5 Scrum values?
Yeah. It's focus,
Focus.
openness, courage, commitment, and one more thing,
And
respect.
respect. And respect.
Respect,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect. Great. So these are the 5 Scrum values. And SAFe is basically a solution for scaling for large solution. That's why they have also included, sorry, I think somebody was speaking. Okay. So that's why they have also included alignment and program execution, because different teams are supposed to align with each other, and we are actually executing a program, which is a big program, apart from built-in quality and transparency, which may seem to be at the team level. Yeah, so these are the 4 core values of SAFe. Okay. Um, just a minute, let me just align. Just trying to put my screen properly. Okay, anyways, no problem. Yeah, what is a value stream? Yeah, so it's basically not only a term in SAFe, but it is, sorry, it's a general term in the industry. What exactly is a value stream? And so value stream is nothing but a stream which is responsible for the flow of value from left towards right, right? So if your customer asks you something, and there is a trigger, and that is a trigger that is actually on the left hand side, and then you do a lot of things to actually satisfy that trigger, and on the extreme right you deliver a value to the customer, and then that's how you get money from customer, because you're delivering some value. And if you see from left to right, these are some sequence of steps that you are doing, and these sequence of step, this stream is actually called a value stream, because you are actually flowing the value from left to right, step by step. Yeah. So what is a definition? It's a collective term for all the steps involved from the time of customer order to the time of delivery. It includes people who develop new solution and technology, and the continuous flow of information. The steps involving people who deliver come under operational value streams, while the steps involving the people who develop the products come under the development value streams. Yeah. So the operational value streams are the ones which are already working in your company. So for example, if you have gone to buy a car, right? So you are a prospect customer, you're a potential customer, and they will have an operational value stream. So first of all, the customer comes, then they would have an engagement with the customer, give him offers, understand what the customer is looking at. They might want like to follow up, and then there is uh, uh, proposal, and then there's a quote given for a particular car, and then you buy the car, and then the car is handed over. So this could be operational value streams. Now there might be some systems developed to support this operational value streams, and those systems can be development value streams. So I think an example of loan could also be a good operational value streams, wherein you as a customer go to apply for a loan, and until you get the loan, which you will get it, for example, if you visualize as operational value streams, you will actually get the loan once we hit the extreme right side of the operational value streams, and there are some systems to support this operational value streams. For example, uh, how to go about if uh, the loan is for a particular property, or it's a personal loan, or it's a home loan, and so on. So there might be different systems which will support the operational value streams, and those systems would be working in development value streams. Yeah, so that's how the value streams are organized in SAFe. So it's a big topic in itself. I think we also have a 2-day workshop for the value streams in SAFe separately. Core competencies. So in SAFe 5.0, um, we have created some competencies for SAFe. And what SAFe says, that SAFe is not going to help you improve your productivity. SAFe will help you to improve these competencies in your organization. And this improvement in competency will bring productivity improvement in the organization. So, and it depends on the culture, which competency you would like to improve in. So for agile product delivery is more about, tactical agility, agility in execution, um, test driven development, DevOps. So basically all of these things which are part of execution, right? Enterprise solution delivery competency is more about aligning different agile release trains, different programs together. And team and technical agility also contributes to agile product delivery. It's also a tactical form of agility. Lean agile leadership, how we will take buy-in from the leadership. So if you think that leadership is not supporting, and we don't have leaders who inspire us, maybe we have to improve the competency for lean agile leadership. How the budgeting happens in your organization. Does budgeting happens in a waterfallish way, or you can allocate funds in an agile way? If you are not able to do funding in an agile way, you may want to improve your lean portfolio management competency. Does your company have a continuous learning culture? Is everybody appreciative of the learning that they are doing, and they are improving, and they are getting a sense that uh, 1 year before, where were they, and where are they now? If you don't have that, then you might want to improve continuous learning curve competency. And then organizational agility is more at the organizational level, more at the level wherein we have CXOs, and it is all about changing the strategy of the whole organization based on the changes in the market, right? So something like Kodak or Nokia, they couldn't change at the right time. So in order to change the whole strategy of the organization, because every organization must have charted down path for next 2 to 3 years. But if your market is telling you, boss, you are not going to survive if you don't change right now, And if you have an organizational agility in the organization, then only you can change. Otherwise, the systems inside the organizations are so cohesive, then you cannot change, right? So that is a opportunity to improve organizational agility. So these are core competencies in SAFe, and SAFe gives you a lot of pointers for each competency, that how can you improve these competencies. And that's a big thing. uh, and in total, basically, if we say all these 7 competencies, we kind of term it as we are improving business agility of the entire organization. And that's how SAFe pitches in. Yeah. So I've been just talking for a long time. Let me just take a pause and see if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions in your mind. Did I lose the internet connection? Am I audible?
Yeah, Jitin. You're
Yes,
audible.
yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah. Sometimes, you may not know if you have lost the internet connection and you just keep talking. Okay. So let me go further. If you don't have any comments or questions.
Jitendra, you are talking
Yeah.
about value stream, which is from left to right, step by step process. I have
Right.
a question. So, is this say maybe team level value stream, program level value stream, portfolio level value stream, enterprise level value stream, or it will be a
Yeah.
single value stream?
Correct. Very good question, Asit. So basically, there are different configurations in SAFe. There could be a program level configuration. There could be a solution level configuration. There could be a portfolio level configuration. And there are different terminologies. I'm not going into terminologies. So it depends which value stream we are talking about based on which configurations we are in. So there is the essential configuration, which is most basic, only the program and team. And when we do a value stream creation or analysis or mapping, we actually only talk about the program level. If we are working at the portfolio level, then we actually do at the portfolio level and so on. So there are different scenarios given. Yeah. Okay. So we don't talk about team level value streams. Uh, because there may not be as much of ROI by investing a huge amount of time in creating a value stream for the team. Although you can definitely do it, but it is a very comprehensive, effort-oriented exercise to create a value stream, maintain it, map it, and remove the waste from a lean thinking, and then create and think it as a system and apply your systemic thinking to uh, focus more on that particular component of the value stream which actually pains the value stream. And if you kind of make that component healthy, the whole value stream becomes healthy. Yeah. So that is how do we do it. Does that
It is
answer your question,
already
Asit?
inbuilt, right? I mean, what are you talking about creating value stream? Means do we need to create separately anything which will be visible and need to
Yeah.
plug anything or some plug in
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
or
it is
something?
actually inbuilt. I definitely agree it is inbuilt, but we take a conscious cognizance of which are the components of this inbuilt value stream and which components or which steps in the value streams are adding value and which are not. And if they are not, then why they are not. And then there are separate exercises for that, right? Every project has an inbuilt value stream, but sometimes we don't take a conscious cognizance of what it is, and we just go into the flow and deliver our deliverables, and we have to see whether those are valuables or not, right? Okay, so going on um, to my presentation and moving on, What do we know about innovation and planning? So this is one separate iterations in SAFe, and this predominantly focuses on innovation and planning, right? As I was talking about, and things that teams does are improving competencies, um, doing hackathons, workshops, coding dojos, and maybe sometimes if some work is left over, it is not completed, then just complete that so that we become more predictable. So one of the reason why innovation and planning sprint is also there is because we want to be predictable to the customer, so that if we have committed that customer is going to get deliverable by this time, then we make sure that we deliver by that time. So it kinds of aligns us to become predictable, right? And so that's what this is talking about. Moving on, what is program increment? Yeah, so let me just see if I can annotate here. Yeah, so basically you know that there is a time box in Scrum, right? And what is the most common time box you follow in Scrum?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes. So here when we are talking about large solution, then at the program level we also have a time box. Okay, and this time box commonly is 10 weeks. Okay, and this 10 weeks could be divided into 5 iterations. So this is a 2-week iteration. This is also a 2-week iteration. Right? And I think there was some question that at the team level, do we also work in Scrum or Kanban? Yes, we do. And this is a 2-week uh, iteration given to that. So this is the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So we have 5 iterations, right? And if let's say we have 5 teams, so all 5 teams are, let's focus on this first iteration. Okay. So all these 5 teams are actually working here, right, in Scrum mode. Okay. And they are working in Scrum mode, and this is where we actually integrate the deliverables coming out from each team, and what we call it as product increment, right? The deliverable that comes out by the end of 2 weeks, which is to be reviewed, we call it as product increment. These product increments are needs to be integrated and shown as a demo. So this particular line is actually a system demo wherein we show the integrated version of the system, how it is getting developed, right? So we do development in first, and similarly we do development in second sprint, we do development in third sprint, we do it in fourth sprint, but we don't do development in fifth sprint. And this is what is the innovation and planning sprint, which was the last question. Okay, and this innovation and planning sprint makes us more predictable because we are not doing development. We might be doing some leftover work or bug fixing to shape the system demo that has come out here, right? We also do the planning for next 10 weeks of the program. Yeah, so here, as the name suggests, innovation and planning, we are doing innovations. We are becoming more predictable. We are solving a lot of problems that we have observed in these 4 iterations. And we are also doing planning, that how are we going to work for next 10 weeks. Yeah. So we have done planning for this 10 weeks somewhere here for 2 days, which I was saying it is a PI planning. Now, this PI is called as program increment. Yeah. So this is one program increment. Yeah. This is one PI, and this is the PI planning which we do before we start the PI. And in the innovation and planning, we again do the PI planning for the next 10 weeks of the PI. Yeah. That is what the PI is. It's a 8 to 12 weeks long. Mostly it is 10 weeks. And it has 4 development iteration and 1 innovation and planning iteration. Okay, hope that makes sense. And moving on. What's the difference between capability and a feature? So as I said that there are different levels in SAFe. At the team level, we call a requirement as story. At a little higher level, which is a program level, the requirement is called as feature. At a level higher than the program level, which is a solution level, we call the requirement as capability. Yeah, so that's the difference between capability and feature. That capability is at the solution level and feature is at the program level. Yeah, so that is something that we need to understand. So moving on, what are stories? I think everybody amongst here is working in Scrum mode at least, so that may be a fairly easy answer for you, and we don't have to go here in detail. So I'll just move on. Yeah, some immediate level questions. When to use scaled agile framework? Yeah, so I've given you a context that if you have bigger teams um, across larger multi-team programs and portfolios, then actually you use SAFe, right? Multiple teams are already implementing agile, but they have some problems. Um, or there are some best practices that SAFe offers. One of it is how to uh, work with leaders so that they work in the coaching mode in a way that teams make their own decisions so that we have decentralized decision making in the team. And uh, what existing roles need to change and how an organization needs to improve the product landscape and different components like lead time, uh, so that we become more predictable and early to the customer to be able to get good feedback early and shape our product, become more valuable, and then SAFe actually helps us in that. Yeah, so that's the problem area where SAFe actually helps.
Who will decide those things to organization?
Decide what
I mean to
things?
say that means once the SAFe is not in means they are not adopted any scaled agile framework. So
Uh,
someone will propose, right? Means to
Very good
organization to
question.
project. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
that
Good
perspective.
question, Asit. Yeah. So basically, there is a SAFe implementation roadmap, and we also have a term in SAFe framework called SAFe change agents. So these change agents, somebody who has attended this workshop on leading SAFe, and this leading SAFe workshop, whoever does that, is called SAFe agilist or SAFe change agent, right? And these are the people who are supposed to propose SAFe framework to the leadership. And there is a step-by-step implementation roadmap provided in the leading SAFe training, that how do we start implementing SAFe, and there's a proper guidance to it. Of course, the first step is to propose and pitch to the leaders and uh, request leaders to attend the leading SAFe certification. And then you have coalition, and you might want to first of all identify which operational value stream you want to work on, which are the development value streams, identifying a program to work with, define different roles. So it's a step-by-step implementation roadmap, Asit. And it can be proposed by safe change agent to the leaders, in a nutshell. Okay, so I think it's 1958 and it's just 2 minutes left. So rather, I would just pause and answer some of the questions that may be the noise in your mind right now so that you can calm that noise before we close this session.
Yeah, so Jitendra,
Yeah, Sumit.
yeah, so it needs like larger teams are working for larger solutions. So probably it might happen the team is not in cadence. Okay, team might be not be in cadence. So how do SAFe assures that the team will be in cadence and rather than like the later part of production, there is no issues when the its application is about to release. So how do SAFe assure these things?
Perfect, perfect. So basically, there is a role in SAFe called release train engineer. And you can just consider release train engineer as a program manager of a program. So this program manager has to make sure that we have a common cadence for each teams. Because if we don't have a common cadence, we'll not be able to synchronize between different teams. So that's the job of release train engineer, of course, in collaboration with different roles at the program level, but that is something to be ensured because SAFe is very big on having a common cadence. So yeah, so that's just one pointer for you, Sumit. Of course, we can discuss a lot with, there's a lot about that role, but that possibly could be in the training. Yeah. Any other question anybody has?
Sir, can we start the poll?
Yeah, sure, sure. Please, do I
Just,
have the access or?
yeah, you have the access, sir. You just click on the poll option and it will start.
Okay, okay, okay. I don't see that option, Arpan.
Jitin, one more question from my side, Anil
Yes,
here.
yes, yes. Yeah, Anil.
So, if in between somebody, for example, in second or third week, somebody has left, then what will happen? Because in India we have a specific month or something, but in other country they have a 1 week also if they are in contract basis, if they are working and they have something knowledge about that particular model which they have developed.
Hmm,
So how it will impact or how how this can be managed by this? Because
correct.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, go on. Complete your statement, Anil.
so my question is that how it will improvise that particular things which has been stuck in between only, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anybody can leave, because in contract basis they have a 1 week of this one only, and after that they
Ha,
can leave.
okay, okay. So basically, the question is that we have various teams,
Hmm.
and let's say 5 teams working together, and for one of the team there are more contracted employees, and let's say 2 to 3 employees have left. So now this team, let's say the third team, the first team is fine, second is fine, fourth is fine, fifth is fine. In the third team, some of the people have left and they will not be able to complete their part of the deliverable. And then how do we manage this situation?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, so this could happen because we are living in the practical world, and this is also commonly seen that if something of that sort happens, then what do we do? And which is why we have lot of SOS, which is I think you have mentioned Scrum of Scrums, and lot of product owner sync for the scope and the content. And if any problems of any sort is kind of highlighted there in those platforms, and it depends actually how much frequency you want to have SOS and PO sync and art sync, and there are different terms. So we highlight that it actually, so we call a you might know there is a Endon rod, right, in Toyota, that if something is not working, they actually pull that rod and the work comes to standstill. Some decisions needs to be made and then we actually go on, right? So something of that sort. So we highlight that, and then it is also discussed with the product manager who is in charge of the scope and content for the entire program for essential configuration. And then we see and take a cognizance, do we need to adjust scope and inform customer? We don't just wait for 10 weeks and by the end of 10 weeks we show the demo that, oh my god, see the third team, these people have left, that's why we are not completed that. No. So if we are, let's say, in the third week, then during the system demo of the third week, or maybe even before, we take a call with the product management who is a representative from the customer side or who may be the customer, and we showcase, and that's why we say, we are transparent and honest about what we are doing, and we take a call what can be adjusted, what the product manager is fine with, because this is the problem that we have, and we have to take a quick decision to move forward, because what we might be developing could be dependent on the other team, or the other team is dependent on us. So there could be different scenarios. So we take a conscious call, decide some actions, and it is distributed. Those decisions are distributed to all the teams and we move forward. So no silver bullet. We do it what is commonsensical from that point of view. Anil.
And one thing regarding this, Jiten, if somebody person is guiding wrong, for example, so how this can be handled? If as somebody has left in the same situation, if somebody is guiding wrong and it will impact the whole product only. So how this can be handled? Because we don't know, because he's more, you can say, more knowledgeable on that particular thing. So how this can help, this
Yeah,
safe can
yeah,
help on this thing? He's
sure. So
guiding
that
something wrong or
person,
something like that.
yeah, so that what you are referring that he is guiding wrong, so that he is a technical person or he is
Might be a product owner, might be a product owner, basically a product owner. I'm
huh,
because he has the whole idea about that, what he is developing.
right, right. So then if we say the product owner is guiding wrong, that means the interpretation is the product owner may be guiding wrongly with respect to the stories, because that's his responsibility is. He's responsible for the stories. And if he's guiding wrong to the teams, then the team might be developing wrong, right? Because if we are taking wrong things for development, then the execution also will be wrong. And then the identification will happen during the system demo when we showcase this is what we have developed. And the product manager would be like, what bullshit you have developed? This is not what I've asked for. And then there is a retrospective that why it has happened. Oh, or it is the product owner who has guided us wrong. Then why he has guided us wrong? So there are problem solving workshops. And then different
Hmm.
stakeholders participate those workshops so that we can contain the problem. Yeah. And then of course there is a root cause, and we would find out why there is a root cause, and then some actions can be taken.
Okay.
Perfect. So
Okay.
Arpan, you can actually do that poll.
Uh,
uh,
can you, sir, make me a host?
yes, I can do that, and I just did that.
Starting the poll.
I have a call at 8:30, um, which is also a Zoom call, I guess. So there's a poll that Arpan uh, is organizing for.
Okay. Might be there's some technical issue.